Hi guys, this is Dr. Johansson. I wanted to give you a brief little video about the next 4 weeks of class as we move into the primary literature reading and discussions. So this page will become the new home page on Sunday, and this is where you will find, I will post it right here, the link to this video. And so here's words, but sometimes I think it's easier if things are explained as well. So that's why I'm making this video. And remember, I can't see myself, so I don't know if I'm really looking at you or not. Okay. So in the modules, goodness gracious. All right, anyways. We're going to be on week 4. So here in week 4A is some information about the primary literature, and I just realized that there's no rubric for discussions. All right, so in here also I will post the, unless it's up here. Oh yeah, online discussion grading rubric. Okay, let me just move that down. Yeah, maybe I'll leave it up there. All right, sorry. Okay, so in your first syllabus is information on how to do a journal article write-up, how to write a news and views, and your grading rubric for online discussion. So I know that people take online classes so that they can work whenever. You can still work whenever, but you probably need to commit at least a half an hour Tuesday through Friday of each of the next 4 weeks to read your fellow group members' posts and respond. Okay? You can do that at midnight, you can do that at noon, you can do that whenever, but you really need to be participating on a daily basis because our schedule is so tight this summer, and we want to get a good discussion going. And the point of the discussion is you guys are reading primary literature, which means research papers with data. And you want to understand the data, and you want to understand the outcomes or the conclusions, because in the end, you're going to write something called a news and views. So in week 4A, there is an example of a news and views. And I have taken these this idea from the Journal of Nature, where they pick a paper they want to highlight and they write this little news and views article about it. And so that's what you are doing. The news and views is a summary, and it's also to entice people, like, hey, this is a really cool article, you should read it. So what I want you to notice, and you don't have to do this fancy formatting, okay? There is, I'll show you in a minute, information about formatting. But what it does is it has a catchy title. Okay, so something that's like, oh, that's interesting, gut microbes and neurodegeneration. And then it has this little part here that's called the lead. Okay, and I give you word restrictions for it, and it's kind of like a mini abstract, like, hey, this is what it's about. And then you have the rest of your article, okay, where you're giving some introduction and you're giving some background and you're saying, hey, this is the field, this is what they're doing, these are their conclusions. We are not going to use diagrams in your news and views. You're actually going to grab some figures from the research article. You're going to create your own figure, okay, and you're going to use that data to represent some of their most important findings. So that's why we're writing this at the end after you've done the discussion, so you can go, okay, I think this was an interesting conclusion from their paper. Here's the data that supports it. Here's a little story about it. That is your main part of the text. Okay. Of course, you have references, but this is an example. Yours is going to be shorter, of what a news and views article is. So let me since we're talking about news and views, let's go to the how to write a news and views. So remember, this is going to be at the end of each week. These are due on Saturday. Then you get Sunday and Monday to read the next article, and we go through it again. Oops. And I need to change this. Darn it. I'm writing myself notes, so I get it already. So, due Saturday, change. All right. So here's the assignment. The goal of a news and views is to summarize current research, excite the reader, explain things. You have a title, and I want it bold and 14-point font. And it talks about your character limit. So that's different than a word limit. Characters are the letters, numbers, spaces. Okay? You have to write this catchy, short title. And then you have a lead, which I said is like the abstract, like this little mini summary. And then you have the text. And as you go through things, or you read through this, it will explain what is expected in the text. You're not explaining the entire paper. No way you can do that, because the word limit, where is it? Where is it? 600 words. Okay. You need to use in-text citations. So you will cite information from that original journal article we read together and discussed where appropriate. If you need to get some outside background information, you need to do those in-text citations as well as a reference list at the end. I've given you a grading rubric, and I've given you an example. So, here we go. Learning medical microbiology will change your life. Oh, who does not want to read that article? Here's the lead. You're going to notice that I've given you the characters and words so that you can see how all those are calculated. And then you start doing your text and blah, 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 blah. And then you have a figure. Okay, so you are going to make your own figure from the data presented in the paper, which means you're kind of plagiarizing, all right, but you're cutting and pasting. Some figures you'll notice in a paper might have 5 panels, A, B, C, D, E. And you say, okay, E is irrelevant, A is irrelevant, I just want B and C. So you can copy and paste those, and I'll show you. Do I have it? No. So let's just look at it right now. This is really cool. It's called the Snipping Tool. It's a totally free wait. Now you're going to see how inept I am. Totally free tool, apt to download. Oh, maybe it's here. Shows you how much I know. Snipping Tool. Okay. It should be on your computer. Never mind. I guess if you're using a Mac, I don't know what you can do. But this is really cool. So you say new and you say, okay, I want to capture this. And you just copy, and then you can copy and you can paste it into your document. So it's a really easy way to, let me show you. Oh, where'd it go? Snipping. I'm going to put up my desk. Pinterest taskbar. Alright. It's a really cool way if you only wanted, say this was just one panel, it's a really easy way to copy and paste. you may know about this and be like, okay, been there, done that for a long time. But anyways, cool tool. So you're going to copy and paste. You say you put panels together. You need to relabel them A, B, C. Maybe you only have one. You need to write a new figure legend. So you're not going to use their long, massively explained figure legends. You're going to write your own. So you're actually taking their data and creating your own figure. I know it feels weird for some people, but it's okay. It's just for this class. You are always going to start with figure 1. I don't care if you're taking data from their figure 6 and their figure 5 and you're putting it together. It's your figure 1 for your paper. If you have another figure, it's figure 2. I don't think I explained this so well last semester, and people got a little confused. So you go on and you write this news and views article. Okay, that's at the end. What you do at the beginning, before the discussions, is you're going to write a journal article write-up. And what this assignment is made to do is to make you go through figure by figure and explain to yourself, and as a nice reference, what's happening. So, wait for it to load. Well, that's not what I wanted. Journal article write-up assignment. Let's try this again. Okay. So for each paper, you've got 4 this semester, you are going to have a section A, and I really would appreciate it if you just lay it out in this format. It makes it super easy for me to grade. So you put section A. What questions are the authors attempting to answer in this paper? So what are they looking at? How did they go about answering these questions? Number 2. So what experiments did they use in general? Were they using a mouse model? Were they using tissue culture? Were they surveying people? What are their conclusions? You can read all of this stuff. What's the next logical step? This is really hard for students. I want you to think it, and you can build this off of your questions like, oh, I wonder if this would work here, or I wonder if they're going to try this. So I want you to think about questions, experiments that would continue the research that you just read about. Okay? So part A is about the paper in general. Part B is going through every single figure or table in an article. Okay? And saying, what's the biological question being asked? What's the method used? What's the result? What's the conclusion? And then you have a last section, section C, where I want you to write down 3 questions you have. Again, this might be related to the future experiments you're thinking about. Why did they look at it this way? Or if we looked at it in guinea pigs, would it change? Or if we looked at it with E. coli instead of staph? Things like that, okay? This is going to help you. This whole assignment is designed to help you with the discussions. So, these are due every, make sure I have it right, every Monday night. And then by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're going to discuss the paper in your little groups. And then Saturday, you have your news and views written up. If you go over to people, I know I'm rambling, I didn't plan this very well, but we'll get through it all. If you go over to people and you go to primary literature discussion groups, okay, here you all are. And I want your discussions in your group. So you're going to go to your group, you're going to click on your group, and this is how I have to get to it. I go visit your group homepage, okay? And here you can start your own discussions. So everybody's going to need to initiate discussions, and then you're going to post replies. Okay, so back and forth, just like we've been doing this past 3 weeks. Instead, this time you're focusing on helping each other understand the journal articles that we're reading. Okay. So this first week is on toxoplasma. Really fun article that kind of gives a little bit of creed to the whole idea of crazy cat people. So if you come down to week 4 toxoplasma, you're going to see the introduction page. Okay, and this is giving you a little bit of background, some additional resources to read if you want. Again, some additional links and some images. Oops. Okay. Here, if you click on this, this is my example of a journal write-up. Okay, so you don't have to do one for this first week. I have done it for you, and this gives you an example. So this might help you work through this first paper, but it shows you, okay, this is what I want. The article overall, 1, 2, 3, 4. The figures, figure 1, figure 2, table 1, blah, 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 blah. And then eventually my 3 questions, okay? So you don't have to do a journal article write-up for the first one. You have to do it for the second, third, and fourth. But I've given you a model for this first paper that you're reading. So you guys can just go ahead, read the paper, and get started on the discussion next week. Here, Toxo paper, intro, and methods for lecture. So I have for each of the papers tried to give you a mini lecture, if it's helpful, on some of the methods. So some people don't know what an ELISA is, or whole genome sequencing, or some of these techniques. So you can click on the YouTube video, and you can go through the PowerPoint that goes along with the lecture. So that should be for every paper. You should find one of those. Here's the actual paper. Here's a review. You don't have to read anything outside of the assigned journal article, but I try to give you some extra information to help you understand more about these pathogens. And then here is your news and views submission link. Okay, so that's what's due on Saturday, June 30th. All right, and as you go through the next week, here's the hygiene hypothesis paper. This is actually the front page I'll make. Here's a PowerPoint for the techniques. Here's the actual PDF paper. Here's some additional resources. Here's the journal article write-up submission link that you need to do, and here's the news and views. So you're going to have 3 grades for every paper, except the first one. A journal article write-up, I grade these very easy. It's really, have you done it? I'm pushing you to do some analysis so you're ready for the discussion. Throughout the week, I'll be grading your discussion. Are you participating? Are you adding to the discussion, not going, hey, that was cool, I agree with you. You know, bring in maybe outside information, bring in your opinions, bring in information from the paper, ask questions, help each other, so that by Friday you all have a good feel for what this paper was about, how they did it, what their conclusions were. And then the third thing you'll be evaluated on is your news and views write-up. Okay, I have probably rambled enough. please, please, please always ask if you have questions. The most important part where people kind of slack is the discussions, and I really value us working together as a team in your small groups. You've got 4 people per group to help each other work through these papers. Okay, I don't have like you have to post by this and you have to have 5 replies. I want this to be a true discussion, and so I will let you know if you're not participating enough. But you know, enjoy this. This is the fun part, I think, of the class. Okay, I'm done. Now I can't remember how to turn this off. All right.